we are going to be living just like the 47 Ronin, and look at us, we are ready to die anytime. And it is the very famous Saito Hajime. So Kondo Isami was actually captured during a war. He got his neck cut off. He wasn't even allowed to commit seppuku because he was considered a big criminal at that time. He was called Hiruandon. Hiruandon, which means, I wrote here, daytime lantern. Number 2 is their famous haori that they wore. I'm pretty sure you've seen this before in a lot of anime and manga, the Shinsengumi members wearing this. Yeah, but this is actually where the Shinsengumi is related to the Ako Samurai. Yeah, the 47 Ronin. Yeah, this clothing, as you can see in this picture here, the Ako Samurai, the 47 Ronin, when they took their revenge, they actually had a uniform that they wore together, because when they're going to be attacking, it's very late at night. Yeah, it's going to be very dark, so it's going to be hard to determine who is who in the darkness, right? So they wore the same clothing together to understand who is who, and that clothing, the patterns they had, was the one that Shinsengumi members wore too. Yep. And the colors are different though. The 47 Ronin is believed to have worn a black colored one. But you can see Shinsengumi members wore the light blue color, which is called asagi-iro in Japanese, by the way. Why light blue, right? If you wanted to admire the 47 Ronin so much, why did the Shinsengumi members suddenly wear a light blue one? The answer is light blue or white is the color of kimono that the people who are going to be committing seppuku would wear. Yep. So this is their termination to say that we are ready to fight and die for our leader, kind of thing, you know?
It's so cool.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. Completely understand. We are going to be living just like the 47 Ronin, and look at us, we are ready to die anytime. Yeah. So you can understand that there are back at that time, they're probably very violent and crazy, I think. Yeah. They can understand how much strong their will was to become a samurai. Okay, then finally moving into number 2, the Ikeda incident. Whenever we talk about the history of Shinsengumi, the Ikeda incident is something that we cannot forget. If you guys remember, Kazu and I went to the Ikeda incident place, which is already a restaurant today, by the way. Yeah, we went there. But the Ikeda incident is the biggest battle that Shinsengumi fought. Yeah. So as they were suppressing riots and capturing people, you know, and asking them questions, you know, about what their plans were and such, one of the terrorists that they captured told them about a terrible plan, that there was actually a terrorist group that was planning on setting fire in Kyoto and kidnapping the emperor. So they heard about this terrible plan, and the Shinsengumi members said, okay, it's time for us to try to find this group. There must be somewhere in Kyoto, and we need to find this. So they separated the Shinsengumi members into groups, and they started looking for the people, and eventually, after looking for a really, really long time, they go to the Ikeda, which was a ryokan at that time, and the group that Kondo Isami, top leader, was leading, finally finds them, and they fight with the terrorist group there. And it is said that the battle was so fierce that at the end of the battle, Kondo Isami's katana was like a saw. It was destroyed so much that it was like a saw, and the Shinsengumi members lost a lot of men. A lot of people were hurt at that time, but they did succeed in stopping the riot from happening. Yep. So they stopped the fire and the kidnapping of the emperor, and this made the Shinsengumi members become very, very famous in Japan. Now, in the beginning, when the Shinsengumi just formed, there were only a few dozen people. But because they got so famous and they were admitted by the shogun, you know, and they had more fame, the maximum amount of members of Shinsengumi is believed to have about 300 people. But that was all thanks to the Ikeda incident. So you can keep this in mind for us. There was a terrorist group that had a terrible plan. The Shinsengumi got that information and seized the plan from taking place. Yeah, and they destroyed the enemy group. Yeah, and they got famous. So Ikeda is a key word in the Shinsengumi history. Okay, and then coming into number 3, the battle against Ito Kashitaro. Now, I talked about this in the 5 facts you didn't want to know about Shinsengumi. Yeah, you might imagine that the Shinsengumi was very strong, a super strong police organization in Kyoto, and they fought for, you know, the shogun and stopped a lot of rebellions and such. But the truth is, if you take a closer look at their history, they're fighting each other most of the time. Yeah, and Ito Kashitaro was actually one of the Shinsengumi members. Yep, and again, thanks to the Ikeda incident, they started to get more and more famous, and there was a man called Ito Kashitaro who was an elite came into Shinsengumi believing that he'll be able to gain more experience, gain more fame by being a member of Shinsengumi. However, Ito Kashitaro was an elite man. He was very strong with sword skills. Yeah, he was very smart too. So he was immediately chosen one of the most important members of Shinsengumi right after joining Shinsengumi. But the problem was, Ito Kashitaro was actually on the side of the emperor. Yes, he was supporting the emperor and not the shogun. Again, the Shinsengumi were people who wanted to fight for the shogun. I want to be samurai kind of people, right? But Ito Kashitaro, once he got in, he realized, oh, I'm not in the right group. Yes. But again, taking a look at the Kyokuchu Hatto, one of the rules is that you cannot leave Shinsengumi once you join. So Ito Kashitaro was like, uh-oh, if I say I'm going to be leaving now because our beliefs don't match, I'm probably going to get killed. Sentenced to seppuku. And when I study about this history, I always think, if Ito Kashitaro was an elite, why didn't he research that before he joined the group? That is just a mystery from me. But anyways, Ito Kashitaro was thinking, because he was really smart, probably he was smart, he thought, okay, I need to have a really good excuse to leave Shinsengumi without being sentenced to seppuku. And what he did is that he said that he was actually ordered by the emperor to leave Shinsengumi and protect the emperor directly. Now, Shinsengumi members cannot say no to this, right? Because Shinsengumi members are fighting for the shogun. But the shogun, the leader and the government, is given their rights to rule Japan from the emperor, the imperial family of Japan. So basically, who is on top is the imperial family. So they're basically more important than the shogun and the shogunate. So by saying that the emperor has asked me to guard him, I must leave, the Kondo Isami and Hijikata Toshito, these people could not say no to that because they were actually under the emperor too. And when they did so, when Ito Kashitaro left Shinsengumi, he actually brought some of the Shinsengumi members with him that followed his path. But the incident does not end here, of course. When Ito Kashitaro joins the group who is supporting the emperor's side, the shogun side and emperor's side, throughout the Bakumatsu period, sometimes they got along, sometimes they fought each other, yeah. And when Ito Kashitaro tried to join the emperor's side, they were very suspicious about him. Oh, Mr. Ito, you just came into our group, but you're from Shinsengumi, aren't you, originally? Can we really trust you? I mean, we're on the emperor's side. Like, you just came out of Shinsengumi, he was totally on the shogun's side. Are we sure we can trust you? And Ito Kashitaro said, yeah, of course, my feelings are to protect the emperor. Please trust me. I think you need to do something. You should show what you really mean. Yeah, and Ito Kashitaro immediately realized, you want me to kill Kondo, don't you? Yeah, and that is what he was going to do. Yes, assassinate Kondo Isami, the leader of Shinsengumi. But this is where it gets really exciting. There was actually a spy that went together with Ito Kashitaro and acted as if he wanted to leave Shinsengumi together with him. And it is the very famous Saito Hajime. Yep. He is, super famous from Ronin Kenshin, Samurai X and such. In a lot of movies too, he's shown as a really not speaking so much, a quiet, but really, really strong samurai swordsman and Shinsengumi member. And he was actually a spy. He runs back to Kondo Isami and he tells him, Ito Kashitaro, I knew him. He is going to betray us. He's going to be coming and killing you. And everyone has a meeting and they say, okay, we're going to be attacking him first. Yep. And they actually hold Kondo Isami, the leader of Shinsengumi, and Ito Kashitaro actually meets each other at a dinner party, basically. They were drinking sake together and they were talking, and such. But that was actually a plan to get Ito Kashitaro drunk. Yeah. And after they leave the restaurant, the Shinsengumi members defeats Ito Kashitaro. So that is the second member that got killed by their own group. Well, for Ito Kashitaro, his former group, yeah. But Serizawa Kamo and Ito Kashitaro were the two famous people who were really, really strong, but got killed when they were drunk by the Shinsengumi members. Yeah. So the Shinsengumi members were barely able to protect their group from being destroyed by Ito Kashitaro. So from here, 1, 2, 3 might be thinking, wow, the Shinsengumi members are so strong, and they're powerful, and they're actually working as samurai, being able to stop the big riots from happening. Yeah. And to be honest, back at that time, the terrorists that were trying to tear down the shogunate, they were really, really afraid of Shinsengumi. Yeah, they were called the Mibu Wolves. And they were very powerful, and a lot of riots did not happen just because of their existence. So that's how strong Shinsengumi members were. But unfortunately, from number 4 here, the shogunate is destroyed. From this chapter, the story collapses completely. Their existence of Shinsengumi suddenly comes to an end. Just about 6 years, 5 to 6 years the Shinsengumi was active, but it suddenly comes to an end from here. Now what happened is that, number one here, rebellious clans joined hands. Now I talked a little bit about this when I talked about the history of Sakamoto Ryoma, Saigo Takamori, these people who were fighting against the shogunate. There were different clans that were fighting against the shogunate, with different beliefs. But in the end, they started cooperating together under the belief that they originally wanted to kick all foreign power out of Japan. But they soon realized that actually fighting against foreign power, they realized, okay, there is no way Japan is going to be able to win against foreign powers, Because again, right, the people who started the riots and rebellions, they thought that, oh, the shogunate is such a coward, right? We're going to be fighting against the foreign powers ourselves. But as they were fighting, they were losing every battle they fought against the UK with France and such. And they said, okay, it's not an option for us to fight against foreign powers. And they started to cooperate with each other. They said, we're going to be living together with the foreign countries, but we're still not going to let the shogunate rule us. And all the clans that were fighting against the shogunate agreed on that. And their power became very, very big. And at that point, the shogunate could not ignore them anymore. Yes. So unfortunately, the shogunate got disassembled. So what the Tokugawa family wanted to do is that basically the beliefs that the riot side had is that the shogunate, even though this is such a crisis, the Bakumatsu period is such a troublesome time, the shogunate is trying to maintain their power even though the emperor is who is rightfully the leader of Japan. That was their belief. So the Tokugawa shogunate said, okay, we are going to be giving our rights back to the emperor, the imperial family, and saying that we have no intentions of betraying the emperor, the imperial family. We're just one of your subordinates, basically. So they wanted to avoid a war happening. Because if they continue to be a shogunate, the riots will, the terrorists will start attacking them, right? And because their power is so big now, they didn't want to get destroyed, but try to negotiate from there to become the new leader of Japan. So they will say that the emperor, of course you are the top leader, but they were intending on still being the government leader even after they disassembled the shogunate. But of course, the clans that took hands did not allow that. Even after the shogunate gave their powers back to the emperor, the imperial family, they said, no, we are going to be destroying you still. So basically, the very big war happened between the formal shogunate, shogunate supporters, and the new government that was established. And Shinsengumi, remember, they were the people supporting the shogunate originally. And now that the new government, because they gained so much power, they were approved by the emperor, saying that you guys are the guys who are rightful to be the new ruler of Japan. The shogunate doesn't exist anymore because they were disassembled. They need a new leader. They gave it to the clans who took hands, who were originally intending on destroying the shogunate. Now the Shinsengumi members, right, they were fighting for the shogunate, which is gone now, which is considered not the leader of Japan anymore. Shinsengumi flipped into becoming terrorists, actually. So again, the people who the Shinsengumi members were fighting against now were the ones who are rightful of ruling Japan. So even though they fought their whole lives to try to protect Japan, try to fight for the government, they immediately took away all of their rights as a samurai, and they were disassembled themselves. And unfortunately, the Shinsengumi members were all run away to their death. So Kondo Isami was actually captured during a war. He got his neck cut off. He wasn't even allowed to commit seppuku because he was considered a big criminal at that time. Okita Soji died of a disease. Hijikata Toshizo did survive till the very end. He ran away, kept on running away as he fought the new government, but in the end he was killed in the northeast region of Japan. And all of the Shinsengumi members, except for Nahakura Shinpachi and Saito Hajime, all of the other Shinsengumi members were completely destroyed and killed. So it's very, very sad. During the 6 years of their activities, the first half, more than the first half, they were doing so good, and they were living the lives that they wanted to, being a noble samurai, an honorable samurai. But in the end, the Shinsengumi members were just sentenced to their death. The shogunate, even though the Shinsengumi gave everything to them, they did not care about what happened to Shinsengumi from there. Once the shogunate was disassembled, they just sentenced Shinsengumi to a war that absolutely the formal shogunate side could not win, telling them that we, Tokugawa family, we want to try to solve this peacefully. But again, the Shinsengumi members have the Kokchu Hato and they're wearing the haori, saying that we're ready to die. These were not the kind of people that the formal shogunate members or the Tokugawa family needed anymore, because they wanted to solve things peacefully as possible. So they were basically sentenced to their death by the shogunate. So it's a very, very sad story, but this is the history of Shinsengumi. Then finally, everyone, let's talk about why these two groups are so popular. All right. So as I said in the beginning of this video, the reasons why these two groups are so popular are the same. And it's written here, these 3 reasons. Yep. Let's start from number 1. There were the ones who lost. Yeah. Whenever you want to make drama, a story, in any drama or movie or any manga and such, it's always more entertaining, I guess. It's to make stories of the people who've lost. Yeah, Japanese people really love saying that Japanese people love stories of the people who failed or lost. Yep. But I've heard from a lot of the comments and messages saying that a lot of the important stories outside of Japan too, the main characters are the people who lose. Yeah. And the 47 Ronin and the Shinsengumi, they both were the ones who in the end had to commit seppuku or get killed and lost. Yep. And by the way, really famous story, the representative person of the person who lost but is really, really famous is Minamoto no Yoshitsune. Yep. So we say Hogambiki when we talk about the people, when we talk about Japanese people liking people who lost, we say Hogambiki. Hogan was the rank, basically, the job that Minamoto Yoshitsune was given through the Kamakura shogunate. Kamakura shogunate is the first samurai shogunate, samurai government that was built, and Yoshitsune was the younger brother of the first shogun of the first shogunate. Yep. And Minamoto Yoshitsune, although he fought for his older brother through many, many battles, and he was victorious, in the end, he was betrayed by his older brother, believing that his younger brother is getting too much fame and becoming too popular, that he is a danger to his rule, his status as the shogun. Yep. So in the end, he was betrayed and he lost, he got killed. Yeah. But his story is so famous in no theater and kabuki and everything, actually. Yeah. So you can understand that Japanese people really like stories of people who lost. So that's the first reason why Shinsengumi and the 47 Ronin are popular. Number 2, their loyalty. Yeah, of course, we all love stories of loyalty, right? Yeah, and you can really easily understand the 47 Ronin and the Shinsengumi are definitely representative of loyal people in Japan too. Yeah, and especially it's really great that there are a group. One person that's loyal. There's a lot of people in history that could have been loyal on their own, but a group of men, tons of men, dozens of men working together, and they all believe the same thing. The 47 Ronin and Shinsengumi, no one is better than them in terms of that, yeah. As I've written there, 47 Ronin becomes a role model for future generations. As you can see, Shinsengumi, even though the Shinsengumi members came out over 150 years after the 47 Ronin existed, even more than it maybe, yeah, they still learned about the 47 Ronin, and that was the kind of samurai that they wanted to become. Yeah, who would fight and die for their leaders. And that's exactly what they did. The Shinsengumi members, even though they knew they were betrayed by the shogunate, the formal shogun, they still fought, they obeyed their orders, and they fought till their death. So they actually did live the way the 47 Ronin did. Unfortunately, the leader, Kondo Isami, could not commit seppuku. Yeah, he was considered a traitor, a criminal, so he wasn't able to commit seppuku, but their ways of living, their determinations, their will, their passion was definitely one of the most loyal men in Japanese history. Yep. And number 3, very simple, their strength. They were super, super strong, which is, again, really easy to make stories of, right? Yeah. Again, the 47 Ronin, as I explained earlier, 46 Ronin committed seppuku. Everyone survived the battle. But we need to understand that the men guarding the Kira's mansion, there was twice the amount of people guarding Kira's mansion. Yep. So there was the 47 Ronin is double that. So there was about 100 people guarding Kira's mansion, and no one died. Yeah. So you can understand how strong the 47 Ronin were. And even after they became Ronin, and they weren't even samurai anymore, they maintained their skills of fighting. For that day, they can take revenge, and they actually succeeded. So no one had to cut off any heads to take back with them. Yeah, fortunately, yeah. So they're very strong. Again, Shinsengumi. I think about Shinsengumi, I don't even have to talk about their strength. Yeah, and all of the manga, the movies you see. Yeah, of course, they might be too glorified in those stories and such, but in reality too. Yeah, Okita, Hijikata, Nagakura Shinpachi, Saito Hajime. These people were really strong. We need to understand that the Bakuma's period was super chaotic. Yeah, you could actually suddenly get attacked on the streets. And even the Ikeda incident, there were probably twice or thrice people in this incident too, and only just a few members of the Shinsengumi members fought against them, and most of them survived. So you can understand how strong the Shinsengumi members were as well. Yeah, and swords, katana, strong, strength and everything. This is what all people love, right?
Yeah, love.
Exactly. So this is the third reason. But before I end this video, I'd like to talk about this last part here that's on the bottom, caution. Though because the 47 Ronin and the Shinsengumi is just so famous, they're very quite often glorified. They're too changed into dramas, that would fit the perfect character and such. Yeah. But in reality, there were of course just people too. And I'd like to introduce two of these things here. Oishi, who led the 47 Ronin. I explained earlier that he, convinced everyone not to, take revenge yet. Let's wait for a peaceful path. And when that was taken away, he led everyone, come with me, let's go to Edo, let's take a revenge. And he sounds like a really powerful leader, right? But before that incident, before Asano actually made the incident to kill Kira, or try to attack Kira in the middle of the Edo castle, he was called Hiruandon. Hiruandon, which means, I wrote here, daytime lantern. It's like you have a lantern during the day. You can't see it, right? It means his existence was like barely there in the first place. That's what his nickname was. So Oishi was believed to be a really quiet person. Even though he wasn't a really high rank, everyone called him, well, it doesn't really matter that much if he's there or not, So even though in a lot of dramas and movies, a lot of the really handsome Japanese actors act as Oishi, in real life he was called a daytime lantern. But that actually does make Oishi even cooler. Because once their leader, Asano, was gone, it means that Oishi, forced himself to work harder and protect everyone, right? So that actually does make Oishi even cooler. Yeah, well, that's one thing. And another thing, I talked about this in the 5 facts that you didn't want to know about Shinsengumi, but Hijikata was actually super narcissist. Yeah. He was, as we see in a lot of manga and all those stuff, Hijikata was a really handsome man, it seems, in real history. And a lot of the geisha, and all the yujo that he played with during his spare time, he received a lot of love letters from them, And what he did was that he sent the love letters to his hometown to boast about it. Would you do that? I mean, I would definitely not do that, especially he actually had a fiance waiting for him back in his hometown. I don't know what the fiance thought about as she read the letters, So narcissism was a really big character of Hijikata. Yeah, and this might destroy your image of him, that you learned about him through all the other stories and such. But again, they were just humans. They were just people. So we definitely need to keep that in mind. But even if we include these facts, 47 Ronin and Shinsengumi are definitely one of the biggest heroes of Japanese history. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching today's Shogo's Classroom. I had a lot of fun talking about the 47 Ronin and Shinsengumi. I think I've hardly found any videos where they talk about the two groups in one lesson, I think. Yeah, but it's really fun when you compare them because they do have a lot in common. Especially I love the part where they were wearing the same haori, that the Shinsengumi took from the 47 Ronin and such. I think it's really fun when you compare the two histories together. It's really fun, and I hope you enjoyed it too. If you have any other questions about the two histories, if I said something wrong or if you learned a different history about them, please again let me know in the comments. I am definitely not a professor or a professional in the field of history. I'm a student myself, so I love to learn together with you. Yeah, and I want to complete this video together with you in the comments and your opinions and such. So it'd be great if you could let me know about what you know about their history. Alright, and our goal is to achieve 2 million subscribers by January 2023 on our main channel here. So it'd be great if you can subscribe to help us out, and all your likes and comments help to boost our videos too. To new viewers who have never seen our videos before, so it'd be great if you could help us out. Yep. Alright everyone, thank you so much, and I really look forward to seeing you in our next Kyoto Hidden Gems. In our next Shogo's Classroom. Thank you so much for watching everyone. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you so much.